Kai was so preoccupied, she would have walked straight off the cliff if Imre hadn't stopped her with a hand on her shoulder. Kai stared at the ground where it crumbled away beneath her, then up at Imre, uncomprehending. "Well, you wondered where the others went," Imre said with a grim smile. Kai leaned out carefully to study the drop. She couldn't see the bottom clearly. It was shaded by the scrubby trees and bushes that grew along the near vertical walls of the cliff. But she could tell it was farther down than the distance she'd climbed to reach the ledge. Her mouth went dry. Imre surely wouldn't make her jump. She couldn't fly with broken legs. Or if she were dead. Where's the rope?" she croaked. Imre gave a satisfied nod. "No rope," she said. "There's a net at the bottom. You'll have to be able to fall and keep your head while flying if there's rough air or if you stall. And we want to see that you don't panic." Kai nodded. It made sense, but there was still a huge difference from climbing a rope under her own power and leaping, blindly trusting in a net that, when she squinted, she thought she might barely be able to see. "It's either the jump or that," the tall flyer shrugged, pointing to an overgrown track Kai hadn't noticed before. "Trail leads to the beach," Imre said. "I don't have to tell you what that means." So really, Kai thought, it was no choice at all. "Did all the others do it?" she asked. Imre shook her head. "Not important," she said. "But when you reach the bottom, there will be a little trail away from the net. Take that and wait at the end. Unless you're walking down, of course." There was a challenge in her eyes as she said it. Kai nodded, but couldn't bring herself to speak. Her stomach was a tight knot. She stepped up to the drop, studying the cliff's uneven edge. She'd have to jump out a little to clear the rocks. She couldn't let herself think about that. Looking back, she saw Imre studying her intently. Kai fished Nana's amulet from her collar and kissed it for luck. She turned, looked Imre deliberately in the eye, and then taking a deep breath, jumped off the cliff. The air whistled past as she fell. She managed to bite back a yell as the cliff rushed by, a blur of green and brown. And then suddenly, it was over. She dropped into the net with a grunt of surprise. It dipped under her, nearly touching the ground, and then sprang back up again, finally settling after a few more bounces. Kai lay still for a moment, the net's rough fibers pressing against her cheek. Her hands trembled slightly with adrenaline, but she was surprised to realize that her head was clear. She felt energized, like the fall had jolted her to wakefulness. Slowly, a smile spread across her face. "Thank you."